Coming up on Virginia Currents, meet Kina Scott, who shares how music has been her comfort through life's ups and downs, and talks candidly about being a lesbian and how difficult it could be as a young teen. Also, Kung Fu becomes Cane Fu. Find out how this veteran empowers seniors with a simple cane. And hospice is not just end-of-life care. Learn how this service, covered by most insurance plans, helps people lead a higher quality of life with conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and more. Plus, come with us to Pamplin Historical Park and the National Museum of the Civil War Soldier and witness history through interactive exhibits, artifacts, Civil War earthworks, and more. And the memorable music of Kina Scott. All next on Virginia Currents.
It's not what I know, but it's who I don't.
Welcome to Virginia Currents. I'm Amy Lacey. Kina Scott's story is a tale of reconciliation and resilience. She's not let homelessness, homophobia, or brain trauma stop her from pursuing her passion of music and being her authentic self. This Farmville native has shared a stage with Chrisette Michele, Trey Songz, J. Cole, and Wale. After taking a break from performing to heal after an accident, she's preparing for another wonderful opportunity to help boost her career. A trip to London. Here's her story now.
We can have a really good walk. Don't jump off the cliff, I can handle it. I was downtown Granby Street watching a live band. For some reason or another, I walked outside, I said I'll be right back. And I run places. This is something I've been doing since I was a kid. I ran through an alley and it was a chain that someone tied too high. Someone said it looked like I was like uppercut by a superhero. Threw me in the air and I landed like this on my skull. I have 2 skull fractures. I was gigging around that time. I had to stop and I was in a coma. I was out for 4 days. Then when my brain started feeling a little better, when my headaches finally went away after about 3 months, and I'm trying to play the guitar and it don't even feel the same. Like, I had damage to my left brain. So my creative side was affected. And I didn't want to believe it, but every day I'm reminded that I have brain damage. That's what's scaring me about losing faith, losing interest in music. I mean, it's an obvious change happening, and it's scaring me. God gave us all gifts. Like, if I don't try, He's gonna curse me forever. I'm gonna be that person to say, yeah, back in the day. Tell them how I used to sing, y'all. Oh, I used to sing back in the day. I don't wanna be that type of person. I don't wanna be that lady. Because everybody's gonna say, they're going, yeah, right, you know? Don't nobody believe you. Sit your old self down. Okay. This is how I come up with song ideas. I might bebop it. So I'm actually listening to myself bebop. Like, I hear all of it, the bass line, I hear the drums, I hear the guitar, I hear the piano, background vocals, just from listening to that. I'll just go with something simple and do it over and over until all these other ideas pop up, because it's like music, like meditation. So when you're doing it, you repeating all this stuff, this meditation will put you in the zone, and then eventually all these other ideas will start pouring in. I don't like to confine myself to one thing. Like, if I'm gonna do music, I wanna do music in every way. Elizabeth, I'll come and join you, honey. Can't use that mic over there, can I? Yes, I can. Music in me is genetic. It comes from my father's side. The music, I started taking it seriously after I sang my first solo. I was 3. I remember the song. You want me to sing it? Testing 1, 2, 3. I was so teeny. Okay, so it goes, hallelujah, hallelujah. So I had to like tour churches and sing this song. After that, I just got a taste and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to perform. So I started learning all these songs and singing everywhere. And then I got on a drum set that same year. And I said, yeah. And then one of the choir men, he came running down there, the Royal Supremes. One of the Supremes came running down there. He said, hold on, little girl. I couldn't even see you over the drum set. Where your mama at? And then he went and found my mama. He said, this little girl, she is a musician. I'll train her. She can make you some money. My mom said, girls don't play drums. She grabbed me by my arm, and yoked me up off the drum set and dragged me up the aisle and took me out to church. That was my first memory of her responding to me as a musician. The music, I think in her mind, she thought it was rebelling, trying to show her I know who my father is, despite all the attempts of keeping his identity from me. But it didn't have anything to do with him. It was all about, I need to play this. It was like an itch. It was like a drug. She came to one of my shows and she hasn't been the same since. Maybe that, she never respected me as a musician. So maybe that plays a part in accepting me now.
Let's make something that sounds crazy, Kina.
I've always prayed about my relationship with my mother. I started praying about our relationship at 15 years old. Because that's when I started to realize my lack of sexual interest in guys. And it was like a uh-oh moment.
Boom.
What really made me want to exhale, be me, and release it. I saw on TV that stress causes cancer. This is literally what made me start telling people. I'm not lying. I was in middle school stressed out about this. I'm sitting there and I'm like, if stress causes cancer and I start being stressed at 13, I'm gonna have cancer by the time I'm 23.
I gotta do it again. You be having problems like that?
I started kind of remotely flirting, just saying like flirty things, just to see how chicks would receive it. And some girls thought it was funny. Some were like, Kina, don't play with me like that. Like, okay, I'm gonna leave you alone. So I never really was in the closet. I just decided to kind of ease into it. And by high school, it was like pretty much guys knew if they wanted to date me, then I'd probably leave them for a chick within 3 months. It was like 3 months. I couldn't take it anymore. 3 months and then there's the, James, we need to talk. I had to cut my mom off. I say in and out. Maybe I'd answer the phone after about 2 weeks. And then the conversation would last for 30 seconds to 5 minutes until she says something that brings me to tears. If anyone was around me at the time, they'd be like, oh, she's on her phone with her mom. They would know immediately because I walk out of the room and then I'm yelling and crying because no one brought me to that point. That happened for about the entire time I was in college. And eventually, she came around. I kept hanging up on her. I stopped talking to her. When I cut her off, that made the big difference. My church, I think they had a part in my mom changing. My church, they loved me for me. They never made me feel bad about who I was. They actually said a lot of, oh, that's Kina. That's just Kina. And I noticed that. I felt and understood that even at a young age. That's just Kina. But you know, it doesn't have to be a church. It could be just other family members. Ask them to stand up for you. That's what my family did for me. So that made my mom change.
I've gone to music for therapy, but I've come to find it doesn't work for me unless I'm making it. Say I'm writing a song, I'm angry. Comes in, the verse is angry, I'm upset. And all of a sudden, I curve the song at the vamp or the chorus or the bridge, and then that song changes your mood, your mind, it's really made me realize the things that I'm going through, but you put the hope in the song. You implant the hope in the song. So it could grow. I asked music, why me? And now I know it's music like, because you're supposed to make all of me. You're supposed to enjoy all of me. And that's why I chose you. 1, 2, 3.
To find out more about Kina, follow her on Instagram at TheLevel12. We'll see a clip of one of her music videos at the end of the show. It's hard to imagine, but attacks on those who are often the most vulnerable is a very real problem. As adults age, they can face risks for violent crimes. It's why there's a Powhatan-based program making its rounds called Cane Loyalty. It teaches seniors self-defense, among other things. I had a chance to meet the founder, a Vietnam veteran who's putting the cane in Kung Fu.
Now, let's say we want to go for the collarbone right up here.
Okay.
All right, you're going to hit it like that.
With both 2 hands?
1 or 2 hands. Call it cane loyalty. If you're loyal to your cane, it'll be loyal to you when you need it. We're trying to show that the cane is more than a crutch, that you can use it for all kinds of things, for your well-being, health and well-being, and to defend yourself. I never refer to it as a weapon. It is a medical support device. Because it's a medical support device, you can carry it anywhere, and nobody can take it away from you. If you go back 3,000 years plus, you'll find that cane was used in martial arts across the countries. I started martial arts training when I was 14 years old. I started with judo. When I was 17, I went in the Marine Corps. I was fortunate enough to study in Japan and the Philippines. I did a pretty long stint in Vietnam. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I was also a police officer. I ran a tactical training company where we trained thousands of police and fire, emergency people and military. And it's just a natural thing for me to do. It's my lifestyle, it's what I do. And that's an important thing. You can't just take a class in the cane and say, well, I'm good to go. All right, you gotta make it a lifestyle. You gotta make it something you're gonna do every day.
My husband and I travel a great deal, and now we very seldom go that we don't take a cane with us. It just seems as though the world isn't as safe as it used to be, and particularly for the elderly, people think they're easy targets, and we don't have to be easy targets. And not only does he teach you the protection techniques, but he also teaches you exercise techniques that can help you strengthen and help with your balance and those kinds of issues, and I think that's very important.
Essentially, you are helping people not be the victim. They can protect themselves with the means that they have with them at any time.
Right, you can protect yourself with it, but you have to learn, when you say protect or defend yourself, people are thinking it's against a mugger or an attacker right away. Well, how about the natural effects of aging? You can use your cane to enhance your balance, because your balance degrades as you get older. You can use the cane to keep your body more supple, so if you do slip, trip, and fall, you won't break anything, you'll roll with it. And if you are attacked and somebody pushes you down, same thing, you're more flexible. Okay, so size has no bearing, age has no bearing.
And this is an opportunity that it does not matter what your age is, that's just a number. You can have that strength and that knowledge to fight back.
Absolutely, absolutely. We all have felt vulnerable at times going in and out of shopping malls, and you hear about being followed or someone approaching you, and you feel so vulnerable if you don't have some skill that you can rely on to protect yourself. I believe in self-protection, and I have no qualms at all in using whatever method I have to protect myself if it presented itself.
And only you can make that decision. I can't tell you you're going to fight off somebody. You have to decide that. But statistics have shown people that resist survive a lot more than the people that don't. And it doesn't take much. I'll give you an example. A 74-year-old man with Parkinson's down in Florida 2 years ago was approached by 3 thugs. The thing, got a cigarette, got a match, and he knew that they were up to more than that, so they wanted his wallet. He just took his cane and he just did this. What do you want from me? And they left. The police arrested him 2 blocks later, beating on another old person that had no way to defend themselves. So it's an eye-opening education. If you get just one or two things out of our lecture, it could save your life later on down the road.
A special thank you to the Nathaniel Bacon chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution for allowing us to attend their Cane Loyalty workshop. For more information about the technique, visit caneloyalty.com. If you're like many people, you think hospice is a place where people with terminal disease go to spend their last few days of life. But hospice isn't a place at all. It's a valuable, multifaceted service for people with life-limiting conditions who want to have a better quality of life. Also, it's covered by most insurances like Medicare and Medicaid. To help explain who can be helped by hospice care, Ron Cottrell, President and CEO from Hospice of Piedmont, and Denise Vogt, the chaplain from Hospice of Piedmont, based in Charlottesville. Thank you both for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
What is hospice care all about?
Hospice is helping patients with life-limiting diseases. Once a patient receives a diagnosis of life-limiting disease, and there's no more treatment that can be available to help extend their life, we hope they can consider hospice, because what we can do is support not just the patient, but the patient's families in a multidimensional way with nurses, social workers, doctors, and chaplains.
And what conditions are eligible for hospice, and really when should you start to pursue it?
Anyone that has a life-limiting disease, so that can be a variety of things. Too often, hospice is thought of as something for cancer care patients, but that's really only about 1/3 of our patients. Patients with heart disease, a lot of neurological diseases, things like Alzheimer's and dementia, ALS, Parkinson's. There's also patients with kidney disease or liver disease that are eligible for hospice. So once it is determined with your doctor and your care team that you do have a life-limiting disease and you can no longer pursue a curative route, that's when hospice is ready to step in and support you at the end of life.
And Denise, we've been talking a lot about the patients, but hospice also offers plenty of support and services for caregivers.
It does, and I think that's the beauty. We not only care for the patient, but we care for the caregiver. We provide many services for caregivers. Our home health aides come and take care of the physical needs of the patient, which gives the caregiver a chance to rest. Our nurses and RNs provide education and comfort and support. Social workers provide emotional support, and there's respite available for the patient so the caregiver can refresh and renew. There's spiritual support for caregivers as well. Our volunteers can come in and provide companionship for the patient, music therapy, pet therapy, massage therapy, and all of those things help give the caregiver time to rest. There's bereavement services. We have a center for grief and healing. We have a center for children's grief as well. So we come in and we support the whole family, the whole unit. We support the patient as a holistic person in all those aspects, as well as the caregiver. And I think the thing we do really well is we journey. We help lighten the load. We care, compassion. Sometimes it's a listening ear. Sometimes it's a hug. So whatever that caregiver needs, we can help them with that.
And sometimes this isn't, as I mentioned, this isn't a place where people go. You take these services to them. This is assisted living facilities where people already are. These are memory care units as well.
Yes, we go to nursing homes, assisted livings, memory care units, and provide a variety of services for the patient. The one-on-one with the patient, I think, is invaluable because nursing homes have a lot of patients and the staff as well. So we do a lot of one-on-one and spend time, quality time with the patient.
And many people don't know, but just confirm, this is covered by insurance.
It is. Many of our patients are covered by Medicare. So once you make the decision to no longer pursue treatment or curative care and come on to hospice, the hospice benefit will cover all costs associated with hospice service. So once you come on to hospice, covered by Medicare, that benefit covers 100% of the costs.
What if you end up living longer than the allotted amount of time, perhaps 6 months?
You know, every program has to have certain criteria, and as you stated, the criteria for hospice care is a prognostication of 6 months. If a patient continues to show decline and they live past 6 months, then we simply recertify that, meeting the Medicare criteria, but it isn't a hard and fast stop. And prognostication of a patient's lifetime isn't an exact science, so I think everyone recognizes that, but there are guidelines for us to work from.
Very important information, and the support that you offer so invaluable for our communities. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
For more information about Hospice of the Piedmont, you can visit hopva.org. And for people outside of the Charlottesville area, go to the website on your screen. Virginia Currents is on the move to Pamplin Historical Park and the National Museum of the Civil War Soldier in Petersburg. The more than 400-acre campus is where 14,000 Union soldiers under General Grant broke through General Lee's defensive line on April 2, 1864. It ended the 9-month campaign for Petersburg and led to Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. In 1991, the land was purchased by philanthropist and businessman Dr. Robert B. Pamplin, whose ancestors are tied to the property. His vision was to preserve history and educate, and did he ever?
There are so many stories here that you're not going to hear anywhere else. A lot of folks that come in that are guests are just amazed that it's not just a museum, that it's a park, but it's not only a park, but we have 3 historic homes. We have original slave quarters at the Banks House. We're reaching out more not just to the academics that are interested in the strategy and the history of the battles, but also the antebellum South, and talking about what it was like to be a planter and to be a farmer at that period and how important that still is today. The wives played a vital role when the men were usually out on business, because usually they had to tend to more of the business side of the farming. The women, very strong women, are going to fill those voids, and you don't hear really enough about that, and that's something that we document here at the park as well.
We are on a plantation. To be a plantation, a farm had to have at least 250 acres of land, at least 20 enslaved African Americans working that land, and the primary crop had to be what was considered a cash crop. This plantation was growing tobacco. In the backyard, we've got a couple of barns, a couple of outbuildings, and then the recreated kitchen and servants' hall, as well as gardens. And of course, our pen behind me is the barn and the pasture for the sheep and the chickens. Hollywood has done the public in general a pretty big disservice with the way they have portrayed Southern life before the Civil War. They got sucked into that sort of lost cause mentality of big, formal, fancy plantation homes, and the reality is that most plantations didn't have a big, fancy home. They had a fairly modest home. It was not all fancy balls and cocktails on the back porch. It was a lot of work.
I think the experience of the common soldier and the people at that time, because of the way it's presented, interpreted in the museum and throughout the park, it's something people can relate to, and it's really more of an experience than just a bunch of artifacts and cases going through your typical traditional historic site.
Everything a soldier ate, wore, or used arrived on a covered supply.
We have these devices called Orfeo devices, and you're able to go through and get an audio tour, but you also have images that come up so you can see actual artifacts or letters other than what you're seeing either in the museum or out in the park or on the battlefield. And this really brings it to life in such a visual age that we're living in, especially for younger people. One of the galleries that's the most popular is going to be called Trial by Fire, and it's basically putting you in the shoes of the soldiers at that time and their first experience in battle.
It really is an opportunity to learn about what life was like at a very difficult time in our country's past. To actually have that sort of connection, whether it's seeing it, whether it's hearing it, whether it's feeling it. You can read about it all you want in a textbook, but I don't think it really comes alive and you really make that connection to it and get a true understanding unless you're here.
The park hosts educational groups, day and overnight camps, team building activities, and more. In 2019, there are several events commemorating the park's 25th anniversary. For more information, visit pamplinpark.org.
I got no Z's off to work. I love it. Underpay me with a degree. I don't know what to do, so roll on my head and I pray to you. Stick my chest out, continue to pretend.
Today's Spotlight on Virginia Music shines on singer-songwriter Kina Scott, who was featured earlier in the show. This music video, Depression, is an introspective song with lyrics, rhythm, and a video style that are frenetic, raw, skeptical, and free-spirited all at the same time. We leave you with a clip now. Thanks for watching Virginia Currents. Join us next time for more inspiring stories. I'm Amy Lacey.
About the past, nothing is wrong with being alone. That's when I write amazing songs. Look at you in your expensive suit, acting as if you don't bleed like me too. Size me up and down from my head to toe. It's not what I know, but it's who I don't. You work for the man, you might be the man. I work for the man above all man, he and I. Baby, we got a plan. Forgave my past, began to write all of the wrong releasing. I feel the composition books with songs I wasn't creasing.